Remember those moments when you felt as if everything had come crashing down on you, when the road was blocked, when the impossible was laid out before you. Just when everyone was saying, "This time you are finished," God's hand appeared at your side. Those who were jealous, those who wanted to discourage you, quietly dispersed and disappeared. Those who did not understand the source of your strength retreated helplessly in the face of your faith. Because you have accomplished the seemingly impossible. Now you know that no matter who is against you, no matter what game is set up, divine protection is with you. Now it is your turn. Your eyes are always ahead, because what you have left behind is the story of those who could not find the courage to go. This path is yours. Those who try to stop you are just a memory of the past. Get ready, write 22 in the comments. Now don't just be a spectator, be a part of the story. With your support, we will become a giant family of 5,000 people. Subscribe now, turn on notifications and join us. Because now your rise will be the talk where everyone else is silent. It's a lot like standing on your porch before dawn, coffee in hand, feeling the wind change and knowing deep down that a new season's blowing in. Even before the sun rises, you sense it in your bones. Sometimes what stirs in the spiritual atmosphere can't be seen with the eyes or explained to the world, but you feel it. It's as if the breeze itself is whispering, something's shifting. Get ready. That's how uneasiness creeps up on those who've stood against you. Long after their noise has faded, long after the crowds have gone home, a quiet restlessness settles in. They find themselves wide awake in the stillness, turning over thoughts they can't shake off, because deep in their hearts they're starting to realize, what they dismissed, what they laughed off, has taken on a life of its own. Just like an unexpected storm that rolls in from a clear sky, anxiety finds its way into the cracks of their comfort. It seeps under doors and through closed windows, settling in the rooms they keep the darkest. Their minds, once so certain, now play host to a growing sense of trouble. Dreams are interrupted. Sleep is thin. The peace they once bragged about feels flimsy, even fake, because something unexplainable has stepped onto the scene. The truth is, the presence they're running from isn't just a shadow of old mistakes. It's not the person they remember from yesterday, but a new strength that's been forged in the quiet, in the secret place. This isn't just someone bouncing back. This is transformation that's happened far away from their eyes, in nights spent alone, in prayers whispered when nobody was listening. When God is working behind the scenes, He'll turn what was meant for harm into a sign and a wonder. Like a seed that breaks open underground, unseen and silent, your growth confounds those who thought your story was finished. The very ones who discounted you, who locked you out, are now feeling the wind shift in their direction. Their hearts skip a beat at the thought of you, not because of who you were, but because of the strength you carry now. An uneasy spirit has a way of making itself known. It's not loud, but it's persistent, like a leaky faucet that won't let you rest. You can run from a person, but you can't outrun what God is doing in and through them. Old opponents may try to reason away their discomfort, telling themselves it's nothing, but deep down, something tells them otherwise. They sense a new authority rising, a power that can't be explained or put back in the box. See, when the Lord sets His hand on your life, He changes the climate all around you. The atmosphere gets heavy for those who once thrived in shallow waters. Their confidence drains out, replaced by a kind of holy unease. They start to feel what you felt all along, the uncertainty, the waiting, the not knowing. Only now, it's not working for them. It's working against them. There's a holy reversal happening. Where once you were the one left in silence, now their nights are restless. Where you used to search for comfort and found none, now their comfort has turned to discomfort. And all the while, you're stepping into your promise, one sunrise at a time. That's the beauty of being set apart for a higher purpose. While others sleep, God is preparing your table. While others boast, you are being built up in secret. The presence that troubles their dreams is really just the manifestation of what's growing in your spirit. It's the proof that you're not who you used to be. It's no accident that their peace is shaken. Heaven is making it clear. What was underestimated has become unstoppable. You don't have to force doors open or fight for recognition. God Himself has gone before you. The very ones who wrote you off now find themselves unsettled, unable to rest, wondering how the tables turned so quickly. There's a new kind of confidence rising in you, not the brittle bravado of those who live for the crowd, but a quiet strength that can't be shaken by opinions. The storm that once threatened to drown you has now washed you clean, leaving you grounded and unafraid. In the end, what they sense in their dreams is not just fear of payback, but a holy respect for the resilience they never understood. They're beginning to realize that the one they cast out has become the very person their conscience can't ignore. Your story isn't haunting them, it's calling them to reckon with what's true. That's the difference between human rejection and divine selection. When God breathes new life into what looked dead, it unsettles the comfortable and awakens the sleeping. You are not a memory of pain. They are witnessing the birth of something blessed and entirely new. And as you continue forward, remember this. Every restless night in their camp is evidence that your breakthrough is making waves far beyond what you see. The Spirit moves where He wills, and no one can stop what God is about to do in your life. Keep your eyes on the new day, because what's chasing them in the night is only a shadow of the victory that's waiting for you at sunrise. Looking for inspiration and intrigue? Subscribe and start your quest. It's a lot like when the temperature drops before a storm, and the air gets still and heavy, letting everyone know something's about to change. In spiritual life, you can sense when the winds are shifting, even if nobody's talking about it out loud. That's how your story starts to move through rooms, not as gossip or rumor, but as a silent signal, a change in the atmosphere you can feel even before you hear it. The mere mention of your journey, your resilience, is like a bell ringing in a quiet chapel. It doesn't have to be loud to command attention. All at once, the same people who once shrugged off your presence now stand a little straighter when your name comes up. They might not say a word, but their hearts know something's up. It's as if your testimony has become a key, turning locks in people's minds, making them realize the old way of things just won't work anymore. You can almost see it, the quick glances, the lowered voices, the way folks start weighing their words. No longer can your past be used as a punchline. No longer can your journey be boxed up and dismissed. The atmosphere itself seems to hum with a sense of accountability. In every community, there comes a time when God shifts the conversation. The same name they once tossed around without care now carries a weight, like the ring of a church bell calling folks to attention. What was overlooked is now watched closely. What was disregarded is now measured with a new kind of respect. The world may try to run on business as usual, but heaven's up to something different. Old strategies, those tricks and half-truths people relied on, suddenly lose their power. They're trying to play checkers on a board that's been reset for chess. It's almost funny how quietly the shift happens. There's no headline, no announcement, just a steady, gentle rumbling as the Holy Spirit works behind the scenes. Suddenly, the name that used to be an afterthought is the one nobody wants to underestimate. People find themselves double-checking the room, careful what they say, because deep down, they know something bigger is at work. They're starting to realize that what they thought they could control has slipped through their fingers like water. And here's the truth. When God's hand is on someone's life, their reputation doesn't belong to the crowd anymore. It's not defined by old labels or yesterday's mistakes. The Lord Himself starts shifting opinions and opening eyes. The same mouths that once tried to keep you small now speak with caution. The old rule book is tossed aside because God is writing a brand new story. Even the smallest mention of your name brings an unspoken conviction. It isn't fear, but a holy awareness, a sense that God is moving, and the wise thing is to pay attention. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to fight for a seat at their table. The favor on your life does the talking, and even your absence is felt like a draft in a closed room. As the old order starts to crumble, those who clung to their power and routines are left feeling exposed. Their clever plans and backroom alliances can't stop what God is doing. It's like watching a dam begin to crack, water seeping through places they thought were secure. There's no way to patch it up, no way to go back to how things were. The new tide is rising, and everybody knows it. Some will pretend they haven't noticed. They'll keep up appearances, making small talk, acting as if nothing has changed. But in their hearts, they know the ground is shifting. Their confidence is rattled, their certainty replaced by questions they never thought they'd ask. Why does the room feel different? Why is the usual banter suddenly so strained? Because heaven has turned up the pressure, and when God does that, the old games fall apart. The very atmosphere testifies. Where there was once complacency, there's now anticipation. Where there was once gossip, there's now a hush, a sense that something sacred is underway. You become the signpost that things are changing, the proof that God lifts up the humble and confounds the proud. People may not understand it, but they can't ignore it. And so, as you walk forward, remember, you are no longer defined by the dismissals or indifference of the past. The story is bigger than your reputation. God is using your name, your witness, as a turning point for the whole room. The tide has turned, and nothing, no old rumor, no old strategy, can stop what's coming. The air is thick with possibility, and you're right at the center of God's unfolding miracle. It's like the moment a lamp flickers in a dark hallway. Suddenly, all the hidden corners are exposed, and you see who's still standing with you, and who's slipped away. In the spiritual walk, there comes a time when what was once done in the open, in broad daylight, begins to move underground. Old friends and former partners, the ones you laughed with and leaned on, start holding quiet meetings in your absence. In these closed-door gatherings, people you once called family begin to trade what should have been sacred, letting private stories and deep trust become currency for a little temporary safety. This isn't loyalty, it's survival, and it shows. In seasons of change, some folks treat secrets like spare change, passing them from hand to hand to buy a little peace in a world that feels like it's coming undone. One by one, confidences get traded, not for blessing but for self-preservation. A whispered confession here, a betrayed confidence there. It all adds up until what once felt like a fortress of trust now feels more like a house of cards. You see, when God starts shifting the atmosphere, it exposes who's truly standing in faith and who's just playing along for the benefits. The world's way is to cut deals and cover tracks, but the kingdom way is to stand firm even when it costs you something. Some will bargain away what was supposed to be holy ground just to avoid a little discomfort. They trade transparency for camouflage, but the price is always higher than they expect. Boundaries are blurred, and soon it's hard to tell who's for you and who's just around until the next opportunity knocks. The conversations become coded, eyes darting around the room, folks making sure they're not left out of the latest trade. The bonds that once felt unbreakable start to show tiny fractures as each person protects their own interests above all else. But the truth is, the tables are turning. What's done in secret can't stay hidden forever when God turns the light on. The deals struck in the shadows come up short in the daylight of truth. Those who've traded honor for comfort discover that safety built on someone else's pain never lasts long. It's a borrowed shelter in a storm that only gets stronger. If you've ever found yourself wondering why the people you trusted started acting like strangers, know this: it's not your fault, and it's not the end of your story. Sometimes, God allows certain doors to close so He can show you who's real and who was only along for the ride. Don't mourn the loss of alliances that couldn't stand the test. Rejoice that you're being moved to higher ground, a place where relationships are forged in faith, not in fear. Just like the Israelites in the wilderness, there are some connections God had to let fall away so you wouldn't carry the weight of old baggage into the promised land. The shuffling of alliances isn't to harm you, but to position you for blessing. Every exposed motive, every shifted friendship, is God's way of trimming the branches so you can bear more fruit. So lift your head. The Lord is clearing the stage of half-hearted loyalty, making room for true covenant relationships. What was whispered behind closed doors is being replaced by the certainty of His favor. The circle around you may get smaller, but it will be stronger than ever, full of people who pray with you, not just talk about you. Trust that the shifting tides are washing away what was built on sand. As old strategies collapse and self-preservation wears thin, God is building something lasting on the bedrock of truth. You don't need to chase after old connections or defend your reputation. The one who called you by name will be your shield and your testimony. In the end, let the lamp flicker, let the shadows dance, because you know who holds the light. When God is your ally, no secret trade or backroom deal can block your blessing. Your boundaries become your shelter, and your story is written not by the bargains of men, but by the faithfulness of a God who never barters your worth. It's a lot like planting seeds in the backyard, thinking nobody will ever notice what you buried. But seasons always reveal what's hidden, and the harvest, good or bad, will eventually come up where everyone can see it. In the spirit, too, there's no such thing as a secret that stays buried forever. There's an unspoken law of sowing and reaping, whether the world acknowledges it or not. Can you spot the lesson in every legend? Subscribe and join the search. After the curtain falls on betrayal, a different kind of storm rolls in, not one that rattles the windows, but one that settles deep into the soul, quiet but impossible to escape. The ones who thought their actions were forgotten soon discover that nothing is ever truly lost. The universe, God Himself, keeps a record, unseen by human eyes but never overlooked by the divine. Sometimes, people believe that a careless word or a hidden slight won't matter, that a whispered rumor, a cold shoulder, or a broken promise will fade away like dust in the wind. But in God's system, every moment has meaning. Every deed, whether seen or unseen, is weighed and measured. Heaven's books are never out of balance. What feels small in the moment can become heavy with time, gathering weight with each repeated offense. When someone closes a door in your face or speaks against you in secret, they may not realize the impact in that instant. But the tally is being kept, and nothing escapes the Lord's attention. It's like every unkind act is another stone tossed in a river. At first, you hardly notice, but soon the current shifts, and those stones change the course of the water. All those little betrayals, the overlooked insult, the plans made behind your back, the laughter at your expense, add up. It might seem to others like it's all forgotten, but the truth is, God's justice works in silence and with patience. There will come a day when the scales tip, and what was done in darkness comes into the light. This isn't about vengeance, it's about the certainty of spiritual law. Just as gravity pulls things down to earth, spiritual consequences find their way home. It might not happen right away. It might not make the news. But rest assured, there is a day of divine reckoning, a moment when the books are opened and every act, good and bad, is brought into account. You don't have to worry about keeping track or holding grudges. That's not your job. Your assignment is to keep your heart clean, keep forgiving, keep trusting the Lord's timing. Those who hurt you may carry on as if nothing happened, but inside, the storm begins to stir. They find themselves restless, weighed down by regrets they can't shake. It's the quiet reminder that God doesn't overlook His children. There are invisible witnesses in this life. Angels, the Holy Spirit, even your own conscience. Nothing is missed. Every loss you endured, every tear you cried, every injustice you survived is known in heaven and honored by God. The balance sheet isn't only about payback. It's about restoring what was stolen, about lifting up those who were knocked down, about redeeming pain for a purpose. When the day comes, and it always does, those who thought they got away with it find the harvest is on their own doorstep. Sometimes it shows up as closed doors they can't explain, as opportunities that keep slipping through their fingers, as a heaviness that hangs over them in quiet moments. The storm doesn't have to make a sound to turn everything upside down. You, on the other hand, are being set up for restoration. For every wrong done against you, God is preparing a blessing you couldn't have arranged for yourself. He's evening the scales, pouring out double for your trouble, and turning your private pain into public favor. You're not forgotten. Every slight, every exclusion, every false word is being turned into an ingredient for your next breakthrough. Let that bring you peace tonight. You don't have to chase justice or prove your worth. The seeds sown against you are being counted, and God Himself is the one who brings the harvest. Let your spirit rest in that promise. The storm that follows betrayal isn't your burden to carry. It's just the sign that the Lord's hand is still writing your story, and nothing that was meant to harm you will have the last word. It's like when a river quietly changes its course after a long, slow rain. You don't notice it right away, but suddenly the banks are different and the flow has a mind of its own. That's what happens in life when the Spirit starts to shift the atmosphere. At first, you might only sense a little tension in the air, the way the wind feels before a summer storm. But as the days go by, you see the effects everywhere. Relationships that once seemed strong start to show tiny cracks, and those who used to walk with confidence now move with caution. People who once held the reins and called the shots find their grip slipping, though they can't always say why. Their confidence gets replaced with sideways glances, restless hands, and words that stumble and stall mid-sentence. Suddenly, the laughter that used to come so easy feels forced. The ease in the room is replaced by a subtle strain, like a piano just a little out of tune. It's not always obvious to the crowd, but anyone paying attention can feel it. The way conversations shift, the way someone changes the subject, the way eyes dart to the floor instead of meeting yours. There's a new gravity in the room, a sense that the ground is moving, and the old rules don't work like they used to. God has stepped in and started rearranging things, and no one can pretend it's business as usual. What once went unnoticed is now felt by everyone. Folks who once had the loudest voices suddenly can't find their words. Those who strutted through the crowd now find themselves lingering at the edges, unsure of where they stand. It's as if the spotlight has shifted, leaving old power players blinking in the shadows, trying to find their footing in this new light. This isn't just about personalities or politics, it's a spiritual current flowing through the community, marking a new season. The Lord is redrawing the boundaries, setting up new assignments, and lifting up those who have waited patiently in the background. The quiet are stepping forward, the proud are feeling exposed, and everyone is being called to examine their hearts. Even friendships are being sifted. Where there used to be easy alliances, there's now a question mark, a pause, a hesitation. People you thought would always be in your corner start looking out for themselves. What once joined you together now seems fragile, and you realize the connection was never as deep as you thought. But don't be discouraged by the shifting current. When God is about to do a new thing, He always stirs the waters first. The discomfort you feel isn't a sign of loss, but a signal that promotion is coming. The Spirit is drawing lines in the sand, separating what was from what will be. You're not losing your place, you're being moved into position for greater things. Watch closely. Those who once overlooked you will find themselves seeking your wisdom. The ones who dismissed your journey will notice the peace you carry. This new reality isn't just about changing who's in charge, it's about lifting up those who've stayed faithful, who've prayed in the quiet, who've trusted God through every delay. In this season, don't be alarmed by nervous energy or strained conversation. It's just the sign that heaven's wind is blowing, shifting the old order and making space for what's next. Stay anchored, stay humble, and let the Lord carry you on this new current. The same Spirit that exposes what's weak is about to reveal what's strong, and you're right at the heart of it. It's a lot like how a sturdy oak grows tall and unbothered, ring by ring, standing steady through storms that knock the weaker branches to the ground. In the journey of the Spirit, big shifts rarely arrive with thunder and fireworks. They come with a series of quiet choices, made in the privacy of the heart. Each time you decide not to go along with what doesn't feel right, every time you let no be your answer without offering an explanation, you're building a new kind of strength, one that doesn't require an audience or approval. The world may try to tell you that standing apart means being alone, that turning down invitations or walking away from noise means you're missing out. But in God's kingdom, choosing your company carefully isn't isolation, it's wisdom. It's preservation of the treasure within you. Like a shepherd who guards his flock from wolves, you protect your peace by deciding who gets access to your mind, your table, your time. It's in those small, steady acts, declining a phone call that drains you, refusing to be manipulated by guilt, standing your ground when old patterns beckon, that real transformation takes root. The courage to set a boundary is not loud or showy, but it is deeply spiritual. Each quiet no becomes a brick in the foundation of your true self, laid with care, intention, and prayer. There's a dignity in simply living on your own terms, in knowing that solitude isn't a punishment but a sacred opportunity to listen to God's voice. People might not understand why you step back, why you no longer explain yourself, or why you choose quiet over company. That's all right. The strength that's forming in you is hidden at first, like seeds pushing through the soil. Only later will others see the harvest. Sometimes the greatest victories aren't celebrated in public. They're won in the quiet moments, in the unseen battles between your old self and who God is calling you to become. Walking away from what doesn't serve your spirit, sitting in your own presence without restlessness, finding contentment without a crowd, These are marks of spiritual maturity that no one can take from you. Remember, Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray. Solitude isn't emptiness, it's the place where your soul can breathe. In those times when you choose your own company over shallow approval, you're not shrinking, you're being refined. Your discernment grows sharper, your faith gets deeper, and your heart learns to recognize the difference between connection and compromise. So, don't apologize for the boundaries you set. Don't second-guess the quiet strength you're cultivating. Let the world rush by, searching for noise and validation. You know the secret. Peace is found in the gentle resolve to honor your spirit above all else. God sees every small act of courage, every hidden stand you take, and He's using it to prepare you for greater things. As you keep choosing authenticity over obligation, understand that you're making space for the blessings He's been holding for you. The quiet dignity of living true to yourself is a testimony all its own. In due time, those who doubted will see that your small choices were the beginning of something mighty, and your faithfulness in solitude will lead you into a harvest of joy, purpose, and divine connection. Misinterpretations flourish as others mistake retreat for defeat, not realizing that distance can be a prelude to advancement. Assumptions about surrender turn out to be misreadings of intent, and the absence so quickly celebrated by detractors is, in reality, a deliberate repositioning for a much greater move yet unseen. Sometimes the first to notice a profound transformation is not from within one's own circle, but a stranger looking with clear eyes and no preconceptions. Their reaction is not fear, but a startled respect, recognizing a force or momentum that is gathering before it breaks the surface. In such unexpected acknowledgement, a clearer self-awareness dawns, one that comes at the price of comfort and certainty. Protective illusions crumble in the face of truth. What shielded from pain is peeled away, exposing long patterns of deceit and manipulation stretching farther than once believed. Trusted bonds are revealed as negotiations, affection as conditional, and the collapse of the familiar brings both disorientation and the chance for a more honest reconstruction. In the quiet aftermath, long-standing family stories and cycles are questioned and, at last, interrupted. What was once inherited, habits, beliefs, silences, begins to dissolve in the light of determination not to continue the same story. Personal healing morphs into something larger, becoming a break in the generational script and offering freedom to those yet to come. Opposition doesn't always arise from enemies. Sometimes it's those closest who are unsettled by new boundaries and honesty, whose comfort depended on the maintenance of old roles. As one person steps out of the expected, it throws light on wounds that others would rather keep hidden, forcing a collective reckoning with the status quo. Resistance from others can spark a transformation not into bitterness, but into a sharper clarity. Attempts to drag someone back into old patterns are met not with anger, but with a quiet refusal to be drawn in. What was once innocence becomes a discerning intuition, able to cut through words and see to the heart of intentions. Exile, once considered a punishment, is reimagined as a place of creation. The absence of external voices becomes a workshop for inner strength, where quiet and distance allow for the emergence of new capacities. Isolation is reframed not as lack, but as a chosen richness, fertile ground for discovering resources untouched by previous expectations. Instead of mourning the absence of old social circles, there is an embrace of new insight and the quiet ability to notice what others overlook. Patterns become apparent, motives become clearer, and the meaning behind interactions is read with greater precision, simply because there is space for careful observation. Every relationship, every slight, every dismissal leaves an imprint, and the accumulation of these experiences forges an identity that can no longer be easily managed or dismissed. What was once a target for manipulation becomes a source of unpredictability to those still operating from scripts of scarcity and control. A new vocabulary is born, one that refuses to fit old molds. The skills developed during periods of isolation, far from weakening resolve, lead to an unshakable confidence in one's perceptions and choices. Freed from the constant noise of external expectations, decisions are made from a foundation of authenticity rather than fear of judgment, and a quiet resolve replaces the need for validation. What others view as punishment or setback becomes an opportunity to recognize the limitations of their own definitions of happiness and fulfillment. The contentment found outside the expected path challenges assumptions about what success really means, and the peace cultivated in adversity highlights the emptiness of external rewards. Legends, miracles, prophecies. Subscribe to see what history forgot. As the landscape shifts, the anticipated responses, anger, confrontation, pleas for recognition, are replaced by a complete lack of attachment to former connections. True freedom emerges not from winning approval, but from letting go of the need for it entirely. A turning point is reached when all the internal adjustments and learnings come together in a single, transformative instant. The change is not gradual but sudden, as if the true shape of things snaps into place after long resistance. The resulting clarity brings both relief and a new sense of possibility. Prayer and reflection evolve into conversations with the fabric of life itself, rather than mere requests for rescue or intervention. Meditation is no longer an escape but a way to align with the rhythms beneath the visible, and the practice of truth becomes an energy that subtly shifts the atmosphere for everyone nearby. Living authentically stops being a performance and becomes a natural state, one that quietly challenges those still clinging to illusions. The presence of someone truly at peace with themselves becomes a gentle provocation, nudging others to question the compromises they have accepted in their own lives. Karma is replaced by the principle that all actions, even the most hidden, eventually return in a form shaped by their original intent. This isn't punishment, but the completion of a cycle, a subtle balancing that plays out over time, whether or not anyone is watching. Antagonism is no longer a source of resentment, but a source of wisdom. Doubt planted by others is uprooted and replaced by self-knowledge, and the energy that once fueled opposition is redirected toward growth and elevation, turning what was meant for harm into material for resilience. The end of one chapter is revealed not as a defeat, but as the opening of something larger. Attempts to limit, dismiss, or erase have only prepared the ground for the emergence of a force that shapes its own direction, unconcerned with the limits of the past. Former adversaries find themselves not confronted by the person they once knew, but by an entirely new presence, unburdened by the need to prove anything and eager only for what remains possible. Light, once hidden, now spills freely, exposing what was kept in shadow and signaling that the story is just beginning.